Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Giving everyone a second to join, but feel free to jump in the chat and say hello. Hope everyone had a good Valentine's Day. Yeah, I love hearing where everyone's from, where you're tuning in from. We always get a really great, I feel like, bunch, even internationally as well sometimes. Santa Monica. Oh, that's a nice place to be. Texas, Chicago. Welcome. Philippines. Amazing. Another Austin person. Amazing. Exciting to see you. Oh, Ireland. Welcome. Awesome. Well, really excited to have you all here. So we do these webinars about once a month. And we love to cover all sorts of marketing topics. And I'll give a little bit about background about myself. So my name is Kristen Wiley, founder, CEO of Statusphere. And Statusphere is a platform that helps brands scale micro-influencer marketing. So just a little bit about my background is I've been in the influencer marketing space for the last 10 years and in the content marketing space / influencer marketing space. So I've really seen the evolution of how everything has happened. To give you a little bit of background on Statusphere, we really focus on scaling micro influencer marketing in a fraction of the time. So I was managing lots of different micro influencer campaigns for brands, couldn't find a platform to scale the way I needed to scale. And that's really how Statusphere was born. So we really take the thousands of hours, we're going back and forth with different creators, and we take all of that and we turn it into 1 hour and giving guaranteed content and seeding capabilities. We handle fulfillment. We have integrations with our technology integrates with our own fulfillment center. And then we give amazing analytics as well. So with that, we've worked with over 75,000 brand creator collabs have actually been facilitated through our platform. And we work with over 400 brands. So I love to do these webinars every month where we take a lot of the learnings we're hearing from our current brands and that we're even seeing across the social media sphere, and like to bring it to you and keep you up to date because it's changing constantly, right? And I feel like TikTok is one of the hottest categories in that as well. So what we're going to be covering today is first the state of TikTok for brands and what's changed because it's changing every single day. How to set your brand up for TikTok sales, ways to increase your organic and paid performance. What should you post to nurture your customers on there on your actual owned accounts, and then how to actually drive sales with TikTok and give you some examples of real brand case studies that we've seen of brands doing a great job driving those dollars as well. And I did see in the comment, will this be recorded? Yes, this is being recorded and it will be sent in an email to you all within 24 hours of it processing. So you can feel free to share with other team members or anything like that as well. So look out for that email. But before we kick things off, I wanted to throw up a poll and just see where everyone's expertise is in terms of how much you've been working with TikTok. Are you a beginner where you're not really using it yet or dabbled a little bit? Intermediate, you use it sometimes. Maybe you've done some ads and some posting, or advanced, you're regularly working with creators and you're regularly running your own TikTok stuff as well. So cool. Okay, so it looks like makes sense. About majority is falling in that middle ground of the intermediate category. We will try to expand all the way across from beginner to some more advanced topics today. But we also have several other webinars that drill into more nitty gritty pieces. So I'll make reference to them and I'll make sure that Sam, who helps produce these webinars, drops those in the chat too. So you can really go deep on some of the subjects as well. Awesome. So with that, let's dive into the state of TikTok for brands currently and what's changed. So first, let's just start with the high level stats. So the 2024 forecast showed 900 million global users. And it's like, I believe was the fastest platform at its time. It had broken the record to get to a million users. And it's just been growing ever since. 650 million downloads in 2023. TikTok is on track to overtake Facebook as the most used social app in 2025. This was super interesting to me. This was based on minutes spent, I believe, average minutes per day or per month on the platform. And you can see here, that's what this graph is to the right. So the teal line is TikTok, the purple line is Instagram, and then the navy line at the top is Facebook. And based on the projections, of insider intelligence that did a study on this. It looks like it is projected to surpass Facebook in 2025, which is pretty wild when you think about it. And then lastly, most consumers have already forgotten about the TikTok ban controversy. I believe, what was that, in 2020, 2021, there was a lot of talks about TikTok getting banned because of kind of the different history and the parent companies. Feels like everyone's had almost amnesia about it since then, and no one's really been talking about it. I'm curious to see if it ends up popping back up, but it seems like they've made some changes and it's been resolved. But still to see if that pops up again. And then who's on TikTok in 2024? So um, the split, it actually skews slightly more male, but only ever so slightly. And TikTok has 1.2 million US users, and they're averaging a 12% year over year growth. This highest daily usage of all US social apps is TikTok with 56 minutes per day. And then nearly 75% of Gen Z are active on TikTok, which is not surprising. I know a lot of people associate, TikTok with Gen Z. I think something to remind you is that though that Gen Z audience is getting older, I think a lot of people think it's just college age students. It's like I think Gen Z goes up to 26 now or so. So like that is also aging up and just important to remember. And then that split between the male and female, so pretty much down the line. And then getting into that age range category. So if you see here, the age range, it does peak at the 18 to 24-year-old age range. But what's interesting is that the other categories are growing significantly. So every time we pull this data, more and more it's aging upward, and that's not surprising. That happens with most social platforms over time. But just looking at this, it's interesting to note, 76% in that 18 to 24 of 16%. 76% of 18 24 year olds are on the platform. 54% of 25 to 34 year olds are on the platform. So that's how this percentage breaks down from there. So you'll notice these don't add up to 100. This is the percent of each age range that are actually on the platform. And then what is a TikTok in 2024? So we pulled together this slide because our team has been joking like TikTok is trying to be a lot of things right now. And I wanted to really zoom out and make sure that everyone understands that, because I think if you understand how big TikTok is trying to be, it will also help you as a marketer understand how much effort you should put into this, how it's going to impact us later on, and just keep a pulse of what's happening. So when most people think of TikTok, you think of it as a social platform, kind of competing with your Instagrams and Facebooks of the world, more Instagrams and the Reels. But now it's moving into long form video. They actually are testing even sideways video right now and letting people upload 30+ minute long videos. Recently, so they're kind of getting into that. The next one is search. Oh, it looks like we had a little error there with our Google, but that's as a search tool. TikTok is really leaning into search. So this is like think of the concept of, you're going to figure out like, oh, I need a new pair of shoes. I want to research the best shoes for running. More and more people are actually going to TikTok instead of Google. And we have some crazy stats that we're going to show later that are showing just how many people are going and using TikTok as a search engine and how TikTok is leaning into that, and then how you can leverage that as a marketer. They're also really trying to become an e-commerce platform. So, and when not just an e-commerce platform, like just for sales, they're even doing fulfillment. TikTok is really trying to copy Amazon's model all the way down to building out fulfillment centers across the US. I actually talked to a TikTok employee who is in charge of that, and the amount of dollars they're putting into building this infrastructure is pretty mind blowing. And they're really coming after Amazon, trying to compete with that. So just think of it in the same way where you go to Amazon and you're like, how can I have them to fulfill it and do Amazon Prime delivery? TikTok is tackling that as well, with their TikTok shop, and then integrating directly into a full fulfillment as well. Next is music streaming. So they actually, in some other markets across the world, have music streaming built in and compete with platforms like Spotify. So is it a matter of time before they try to roll something out in the US? Something just to keep an eye on. And then live shopping. Although live shopping isn't the biggest thing in the US markets, it is really large in other markets. I believe even especially in China, it's a very large market, or in the Asian markets as well. So they're almost like going into that QVC. It's like the new QVC HSN from that perspective. So what I see when I look at this whole landscape is, wow, TikTok's doing a lot, but I'm also super impressed with how well and the speed they're moving for such a large company. So like I said, we do these webinars often. We keep doing updates on TikTok because it's changing so rapidly, but I think it's helpful to just like see just how much they're taking on and how some of these different things are going to cross over moving forward. Um, and then leaning into that search piece. So I do want to dive into this because if you've heard some of my other webinars, I actually did a whole webinar just on TikTok SEO and search because it is so wild that 40% of young customers prefer social media to Google search. So, Gen Z to millennials, they did a study and it was about 40% prefer TikTok to Google search. And even Google came out being like, we're seeing this, we're concerned by this, and we're trying to figure out how to compete it. So I see the little pop up there. If you do want to dive really deep into social SEO, we'll do a high level today, but you can earmark that webinar for later if you're interested. How it's going in 2024, 74% of Gen Z use TikTok as a search engine. And then some new data we just found did a study and it said 51% of Gen Z women prefer TikTok to Google search because of TikTok's video first format. So I'm personally a millennial, but I also fall in that category. As soon as you start using TikTok for search, it's just incredible how efficient it is to get the answers in these lovely bite-sized videos from real people, right? It just feels so much more authentic. I can see a bunch of videos at once and make a decision quickly. And then TikTok constantly updates its search features as well. So you can see here's just a screenshot. When you start typing, it feels very much like Google. You see how it like auto fills high end foundation for dry skin. That's worth it. Oily skin, all of those different pieces. This is so important when you're creating content on TikTok to remember that it's not just a social platform, that it is also a search engine, and you should be optimizing for that with all of your content and with your creator collaborations. The next thing to dial into is TikTok tripling down on social commerce. So 92% of TikTok users say that they've bought something from the app or would in the future. 48% of adult consumers would buy a product directly from TikTok, which this was an interesting stat that I wanted to look up because I do think one of TikTok's only downfalls is that it has a little bit of a sketchy history with the whole banning and everything. So are they going to be able to build that trust to let for consumers to purchase on the platform? And it seems like they are doing a good job of building it based on this stat here. In 2023, TikTok became the first non-game app to hit up 10 billion in consumer spending. So people are putting real dollars into the platform. And then TikTok Made Me Buy It has generated over 6.4 million posts on the platform. And then, of course, they launched TikTok Shop in 2023 and their affiliate program, which I'll dive into today. And then something else to keep in mind is that small accounts still rule TikTok. So 83% of viral TikTok videos, according to SEMrush, and TikTok came out saying this as well, come from just like everyday people, not unverified everyday people accounts. So I think that's just also such a cool part of TikTok is that it really fosters genuine great content over follower count, and it also allows smaller brands to really leverage this to make a big splash, even if you don't have always like the biggest budget, right? And then in terms of the TikTok customer journey, so TikTok actually came up with this little graphic here, which I think is interesting. It's the TikTok's retail path to purchase, and showing how it's not linear and it's more of a loop. You discover, participate, review, consider, discover, and purchase all throughout that journey, right? So, new data, 72% of users who took an off-platform action from TikTok said they get their most trusted reviews from TikTok creators. So, like real people talking about the product authentically, right? We know TikTok's a little off the cuff, not as polished, right? 61% of TikTok users engage with product related content. 21% of social shoppers started their product searches on TikTok in 2022. And then creators can make key touch points during each stage of this buyer's journey, right? Because they are part of the review, the participation, the consideration, and the discovery journey. Okay, so now diving into more tactical pieces. We're going to break it up into four main categories of how your brand can drive sales on TikTok. So, the four categories we're going to cover is first, organic. So, talking about what you should be posting to organically reach your customers through your account as a brand. Through search, so that social SEO I was talking about, how do we increase your rankings on TikTok search? And we'll talk about some tactics there. Number three is through paid and affiliate. So this is talking a little bit about TikTok Shop, a little bit about how affiliates work, and then also how paid ads work together. because like I said, TikTok has a lot going on. And then number four, creators. How do you build that creator community, that army of creators talking about you to help with all of the things above, your organic, your search, and using creators and paid as well. So how to drive sales organically on TikTok. So we want to start with the algorithm, right? So the TikTok says the For You results are presented based on a few different things. And the For You page is that page that you default fall on when you open your TikTok app. It's not the people you're following; it's the videos that the algorithm thinks you will love. And keep in mind that 96% of video views come from this For You page. So that's what's so unique about TikTok also is it most of the people viewing your content aren't even your followers. They're who the algorithm thinks should get your content, which honestly for marketers I think is a beautiful thing because that means that you don't even have to worry if the creator's audience is exactly who you're trying to reach because the algorithm will find who you're trying to reach because they're actually engaging with that content. So it's to me it's like a marketer's dream, right? We're working with that algorithm. So the main things to get on that For You page include interactions, so likes, comments. So the algorithm's looking to see how many engagements the video is getting, video information like descriptions, captions, and sounds. So every single one of our For You pages is different. I know my For You page is tons of puppy videos and beauty products because that's what I like. My boyfriend's page is very different, like cars and e-commerce stuff. Like it's completely different, right? So keep in mind too, just like Google search, it's custom to each person. So it has to look at some different tactics to figure out how you get on that For You page, right? So it looks at video information and then it looks at hashtags as well. And then with the right content, a post from a little known TikTok user has the potential to reach the same number of people as a post from a creator with millions of fans. So just going back to that whole, it's the opposite of what we've been working with marketers for so long, where remember Facebook pages, you had to have a million likes to get anyone to see your content, or Instagram. It's not like that with TikTok. You can really find the right audience through your content. Here is the theory or the widely held belief of how the TikTok algorithm works. So it is that completed views hold the greatest weight. So the algorithm is looking to see if people make it through the whole video. And then if enough people are, then they're like, okay, this is a great video versus just like leaving after the first few seconds. That makes sense. The next one is that for every one like for every 10 views gets more exposure. So essentially, is it getting a little higher engagement rate? It's going to show it to more people. One observation that is still being seen is that videos with less than 15 seconds tend to go viral. But I will say it used to be really true early on in the early days of TikTok that the shorter videos had a higher correlation with virality. It's really changing a bit in the last year. So we are seeing in our own platform with the brands running running campaigns that like these longer videos are doing incredibly well, and TikTok's even coming out saying too, if you're really bringing that value, these longer videos are also going viral. Then the engagement velocity, how quickly is it getting engagements? And then hooks seem like the biggest part of TikTok. If you don't hook someone in those first few seconds, they're just going to scroll past, right? So the other thing as a business account that you need to have a great understanding of is the TikTok sounds. So music labels are really cracking down on brands using commercial audio. So you should be familiarizing yourself with TikTok's terms of service so that you don't violate by mistake, because they can ding your account and it can cause other problems as well. So business accounts can't duet, react, or stitch videos with any other content that is not part of the general music library, which is the royalty free music. So a tip is to obtain the commercial music license or create your own sound through the campaign audio. And TikTok is getting better and better at making it easier for you to know which ones are allowed and not allowed as well. And also, this is important too for ads. Obviously, you can't do any ads without using the commercial sounds. So here are some buckets of branded content ideas. So I'll go through a few here. We actually do have a whole guide of I think 50 plus, 60, yeah, 60 TikTok and Instagram Reels ideas for brands. We put this guide together last time. I think that just as a thought starter, you need something to get the juices flowing, and then once they're flowing, you can do a lot with that. So check out that there. But some of the buckets of categories that are really easy to think about as you're planning your content strategy is products in action. So obviously showing the product in action, seeing it real life, especially if you have a compelling product. You can see some of the like a hair device here or things like that. Customers tests and reviews, like join me while I test this product. One big category on TikTok is edutainment, they call it. So it's educational and it's entertaining. So this includes how-to videos, tutorials. Did you know content works really great? The history of how your product was made, really educating while also entertaining your audience. Product hauls and then humorous and entertaining content works really well. That is a theme across TikTok is people kind of go there for that humorous light lift and also to educate themselves as well. One branded content tip is that we have found across working with different brands that we did some A/B testing with having some creators use coupon codes or creating content with coupon codes versus not. The ones with coupon codes tend to have a lower engagement rate and did not do as well, which makes sense. It feels more like an ad. So I think the overall moral of the story is make sure that you're creating content like a creator for your brand. And I love thinking about it in buckets when you're creating your strategy so that you have a framework to go off of. So these are really good buckets to pick from and kind of think about each one for your products. Next, mind your video previews and captions. So 90% of the top videos on YouTube use a custom thumbnail. And now that we're really thinking about the fact that so many people are searching on TikTok, the thumbnail is very important. So think about that. Also plan for that as you're thinking about your strategy and just doing your overall content strategy for TikTok. And then brainstorm hooks and phrases to make your content previews more exciting. Some recommendations are how to, what is, best, easiest, fastest, and then giving viewers a taste of your content. I think something key here, though, is you never want to bait and switch anyone because if you do that, TikTok will see people clicking into it and then not watching it all the way, and that will really ding you, and then you won't get as much exposure. So you always want to make sure it's very consistent with what they're getting. Very similar to the rules of YouTube thumbnails, if you're familiar with that as well. Next is think about what TikTok wants, and so that you can feed the algorithm. So, entertaining, positive, humorous, empowering. 92% of TikTokers say positive emotions inspired their off platform interactions with brands. So, like, make them feel something like we said, like make them be like, oh, I didn't realize that, or make them laugh, or different things like that, just putting yourself in your consumer's shoes when they're engaging with your content. Creator how-tos, skits, memes, unboxing. Every humans love unboxing, a nice unveiling, right, of a product. And then TikTok's audience loves to learn about new things. So the random facts and the did you knows do very well. A big question we always get is, can I just post my reels to TikTok? The answer is maybe, but you still should be mindful that TikTok is a different platform than Reels. It has different trends. It has different, some things overlap, and most of them start on TikTok. So if you are creating it for Reels, it might already be too late on TikTok. So what we've noticed is the brands that repurpose the best are either will splice it slightly different for TikTok or put a different caption. So you can see here is an example. Athletic Greens actually posted the same video, but they put slightly different captions between the two platforms. So I think it's just important to remember, put yourselves in the shoes of the person who's actually watching the content and what content it's going to be surrounded by, right? Because on Instagram, it's a little more polished content. TikTok's a little bit more raw. Um, little different aesthetics on both of the different platforms and different trends that go viral as well. And then join the trends. I mean, TikTok is all about trends, and hopping on them early enough can really help it skyrocket. So, going back to what feeds the algorithm, if right now there's a sound trending that you're allowed to use because it's like commercially available, jump on that, right? Because what happens is all the people that are watching all these other viral videos with that sound are then going to get fed more content with that sound. So that's how the trends work really. And if you jump on early enough, you can kind of capitalize on that right away. So as if you've been to some of our webinars, we love to give examples of real brands because I feel like I can talk all day about how to create content, but seeing an actual brand do it well, I feel like is what actually the best inspiration is. So I have a few examples here. I'm not going to play them, but we will be sending them afterward. And we'll make sure to send you a link so you guys can watch them, or if you want to share them with your team. I also recommend all the brands we're showing here create really great content. So they are just great for inspo in general. Oh, thank you, Sam. She just popped it up there. So if you want to bookmark that for later to watch some of these actual videos, you can see how brands are just jumping on trends in a really smart way. So I think here you had Celsius doing the Who is Duffy sound. I think we've all seen the "We work at blank, of course we blank" audio. And I've seen brands, even though everyone's done it, it's still very compelling. There's still ways to do it funny. So it's really cool from that perspective. So you can see the one Doritos did there. Scrub Daddy, they they go hard with their content. They go a little out there a little sometimes too. If you do have a brand that is lucky enough not to have a super crazy strict legal and stuff department, and you can be a little edgy, that's amazing for TikTok. And this is why I also think small brands can win really well. But TikTok has some, or Scrub Daddy has some really great TikToks too. They did one with "This is not a banger" sound. Then you have here Drumstick doing a pretty funny meme. I should note too that going back to what is TikTok, yes, they do short form video. If you haven't been on TikTok in a while, images are actually doing pretty well on TikTok. So you can actually put memes now. You can do swiping, very similar to Instagram. So now it's really come full circle that Instagram and TikTok are very similar in terms of how you can upload content. But you can check that one out here for the Drumstick. Sol de Janeiro did the "ha ha ha" again sound, which I love that one. And then Aquaphor, they've done some good ones, including some silent reviews. And then lastly, we have Fenty Beauty has a couple really great ones too, where they jumped on 2 different audio trends as well. So now we're going to jump into, so we went from organic. So this is how can I get my brand out there, really build that community on TikTok through our own posting. The next is going to be, how do I drive sales with TikTok search? So how TikTok search works, and I going to caveat this, they're updating it constantly. So if you're watching this recorded and it's a few months from now, it's constantly being updated by TikTok because they're investing a lot of money on this. But I always recommend, if you are going to be optimizing for SEO, go on TikTok and definitely start searching for things and start learning how the consumers are using it. And you can see here the way that it pops up is that it gives you that suggested autofill. It shows your search history, which is super cool, just like Google. It even includes ads in the search results. And you have filters. There's all these different filters. You can actually filter it so you only see no brands content and just creator content. You can filter it based on verified, not. You can look all sorts of different things. So I think it's very cool to see how they're changing their search to be more and more sophisticated over time. And then in terms of the impact, business impact on TikTok search, so 61% of TikTok users actively shop and research products on the platform. 71% of Gen Z say social media is where they most often discover new products. And then as more shoppers turn to social media, brands must rank just like they do on Google. So I really feel, I was like a blogger back in the day, and it feels like the earlier days of SEO, where if you can jump on now and really optimize for this, that you can see really great results. We actually in the Statosphere platform have a way for brands, and we can help you optimize and identify those keywords and get creators posting to help you rank for them. Because I think what's so powerful about TikTok search is that it is not based on follower count. Like, I'll give an example. This just happened to me recently. I was shopping for a new blush. Everyone was talking about rare beauty, so I was like, I want to figure out what shade to pick. So I'm like, rare beauty reviews, all typing that into TikTok, of course. And as you know, Selena Gomez owns Rare Beauty. She was nowhere to be found in any of the results. It was all just these tiny creators and just everyday people that only had 1,000 followers that I was actually making my decision on what I was going to purchase based on. So I just want to explain that story because it really shows the value of how smaller brands can really, get some of that market share as well. Because it's like, we can't all have Selena Gomez, but she wasn't even what was causing them to rank, right? So how to approach TikTok SEO. So think of it as a search engine versus a content distribution or ad channel. So if you want to approach TikTok from an SEO perspective, create a separate strategy. So you have your content strategy, but then create an SEO strategy and really do your research. So identify search trends. Go on Google, because Google search keywords are going to parallel TikToks for your category. It's just human nature, law of numbers. They're going to be very, very similar. So take a look at some of those different tools. There's a bunch of keyword tools on Google you can look at. Also on TikTok, you can actually just type it in and it will autofill for you, and that will give you a bunch of really great ideas for long tail keywords. And when I say long tail, essentially the more specific, the easier it technically is to rank for. Because although you may get less search volume, it's going to be much more specific, and you'll be able to rank for it there. So you can see like best running shoes for flat-footed people, or best running shoes for beginners, things like that as well. Best blush for sensitive skin. So like think about that from your brand's perspective. What are your value propositions, and what type of content should you be creating, and having creators create around that to help you rank. And oh, thank you, Sam. And here's our social SEO report. We did a deep dive, like I said, report. We're really keeping a pulse on this because I think it is one of the most exciting things to happen in terms of marketing in the last few years. So we're having a great time helping brands with this. And if it is something you're interested in optimizing for, like I said, our platform does do this, and we can help you with it. So also would love to set up a demo if that's something you're interested in. But check out our report if you want to get more of a white paper analysis on it. But yeah, TikTok keyword research and videos. So research keywords in the TikTok Creative Center. So TikTok is leading into this SEO piece. Actually, not sure if you remember, but last Super Bowl, I know we just had the current Super Bowl, but last Super Bowl, TikTok actually did ads all about around search. So it wasn't around creating content, it was around search and finding stuff, right? So they've been doing this for quite a while. So you want to find the pain points, how to do this, how to apply, concealer under eyes, how to braid your hair, how to, all the different pieces, what is the right, running form, things like that if you're running shoes. So use these concepts to come up with video ideas and campaigns if you're working with creators, because I'm going to get to this in a point at a point, but like if you're creating this content on your feed, it's great because you can kind of rank. But if you can work with creators, it's just allows you to really doing it at scale. And at the end of the day, SEO is just you need enough hooks in the water for one of them to hit. It's very similar to the old days of blogging SEO, where you needed enough blogs out there for one of them to rank. You have to do the same thing with videos. And we found the best way to do that is actually to work with creators at scale using those key phrases. So you want to incorporate these keywords in your content and create a briefs for creators in a natural way. And then, of course, you do not want to spam with the keywords or keyword stuff. It should feel natural. It should actually go with the content, and you don't want any bait and switching. Uh, so make the most of TikTok hashtags. So hashtags work very similar to the keywords as well, from the research we've done with TikTok. So explore different types of hashtags. So hashtag shampoo review, clean talk. So there's all of these really niche communities on TikTok. So clean talk is a bunch of TikTokers that just clean things. For example, book talk is all of the TikTokers that love books and share their recommendations. So finding those little niche communities, it's kind of like finding a long tail keyword, right? And really allowing you to rank around that as well. Hashtags used by competitors and other creators are also great ways for inspo as well. And then just as a tip, 3 to 5 hashtags per video is the sweet spot. You don't want to overstuff it from that perspective. And then creator content really establishes your social search presence long term. So like I was saying, it's a numbers game. You have to have enough hooks in the water of people using the key phrase for one to really rank. So we've seen that with different brands that we're working with, and how over time it's this snowball effect. So it takes some time, just like traditional SEO. But if you can get ranking for those pieces, the ROI on working with creators just grows exponentially, because one of these could rank for several months, bringing you tons of views. And I think what's also really great about TikTok is that the half-life of the videos is quite long. So Reels has its own benefits, but one of the benefits of TikTok is, I mean, I think I posted a video that was getting views a year later, right? Because it was probably showing up in search. So I think that that's just something to keep in mind too, that this is a snowball effect. It's not a once and done. You should have an always on campaign if TikTok is going to be one of your main strategies. And specifically if TikTok SEO is your main strategy, you need to have a minimum 6 month to a year plan to really grow that and do it right. So we have a few different case studies, and you'll see that in the white paper as well that Sam shared. So awesome. So that's social SEO. You can tell I'm very excited about it, and I can talk a lot about it, but I do want to get to our last 2 sections. So next we're going to jump into how to drive sales with TikTok Shop, ads, and affiliate. It's just so wild to me just how much TikTok has going on. When we were putting this webinar together, I'm just like, each one of these can be its own whole subject. But I really wanted to give you a broad scale of how to think about spending your time. So let's dive into this section. So TikTok Shop. So I don't know. Actually, I'd love to hear feel free to jump in the chat if you have been on TikTok Shop. I've heard mixed reviews. I've had some of our brands are seeing amazing results. Some brands are really annoyed with TikTok support from that perspective, which always happens, I think, with some new products happening. But overall, I have been seeing a lot of really good indicators that TikTok Shop is working to drive sales for brands. So what is TikTok Shop? So TikTok Shop is the ability for you to connect. I believe they do it with the main big e-commerce providers. Like if you have a Shopify account, you can connect it to create a channel that gets sold on TikTok. So you can see a screenshot of it here. And people can actually purchase directly from TikTok and check out right there without leaving the app. So this is a game changer because historically, apps like TikTok, they don't want people leaving. So whenever brands would try to sell products, you always get this button that's like, are you sure you want to leave the app? And that's always friction points to help people really move through the funnel. You don't have that anymore if your brand's on TikTok Shop. The next piece that I want to talk about that feeds into that is paid and Spark ads. So just you have your traditional ads, which traditional ads are very similar to what you're used to on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, which is like you upload your ad creative, you pick your audience, you put your budget in and you run it and it gets those impressions and you can drive it toward a landing page. So that's great. They've had those since pretty early on with TikTok. But in the last few years, they've really been ramping up what they call Spark ads, which some marketers call allow listing, some marketers call whitelisting, which is the concept of running ads through a creator handle. So you can see here it has the creator's handle instead of the brand's handle. So we're going to talk about the stats between the two in a second, and what we're seeing with brands working with them. And then lastly is affiliate. An affiliate is if you do have TikTok Shop set up, you can turn on an affiliate program, which means that if a creator tags you, they will get a kickback from each sale that actually happens. So the reason I put all these together is because you can do them all separately, but they also work really well together as well. So first, starting with TikTok Shop. So new-ish, think Amazon, but for TikTok, like I said, they're even trying to get into the fulfillment aspect as well. So you might see that if you've signed up for TikTok Shop. But brands can create a dedicated storefront and sell products natively in the app. And then creators can act as affiliates by publishing shoppable videos. So you can see this picture here of this woman holding the beauty products. It's actually linked. And if you click that, it would take you to the TikTok Shop where you can check out. So how do those videos work? All of the checkout happens natively through TikTok. So you can see those screenshots here, the add to cart button. Creators can get affiliate revenue. So if you're a brand and you turn on the affiliate feature, then creators are kind of more incentivized theoretically to tag your product because they could get the upside from sales. And then they can also even list the products in their own little shop, formerly known as storefronts. They're testing that right now as well with some creators too. So the future of TikTok Shop, since I've had a lot of brands, I think one of the top questions I get is like, should we be on TikTok Shop right now, right? So TikTok Shop's goal is to hit 17 billion in e-commerce sales by 2024. So it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. I say that with a caveat because if we all remember Instagram's shop, they had it go up and then they just shut it down. So all the brands that invested all that time just kind of was all wasted. So I understand why brands are a little apprehensive to get on TikTok Shop right away. They want to see what's happening, but it does seem like it's not going anywhere just yet. TikTok is hiking up seller fees. So their cut will increase from 2 to 8% plus a 30% transaction in July of 2024. So I kind of say, like, if you are going to go on it and this is going to be a channel, get on it early because you'll get some of that upside. But I also know that this was the same problem that Instagram had with their shop, is that brands got really upset because you're essentially like beholden to them and they can just keep raising that percentage. And that's a little, sketchy and hard for brands to manage. So something to keep in mind as you're thinking if you should invest in it. But they did say they are planning to hike that fee. And then TikTok came out recently, I think this was a couple weeks ago, saying they're testing a feature to make all videos shoppable, which I believe they're using AI to like look at the video, see what products are in it, and make it shoppable. I remember talking about this at the marketing agency I worked at years and years ago, how cool that would be. And it's so crazy that we're at a point where that could be possible. Still not sure if they're going to do it. Consumers had very mixed reactions to this and saying how they didn't like it and so on. So we'll see what they're going to do, but they did announce saying that they're testing that feature, which would be pretty wild. And then just to dive into the affiliate. So you have that TikTok Shop And then you can flip on affiliate. So that's the second piece. So you don't have to turn on affiliate. If you don't turn on affiliate, then if people tag you, they just won't get any upside from the sales. But if you do turn on affiliate, they can get a percent cut. And there's two different plans you can sign up for. You can sign up for a targeted plan where you only invite specific creators or influencers to act as affiliates, or you can have the open plan where anyone and everyone can do it as long as they meet the requirements. I think right now they have to have 5,000 followers. Yeah, it's right here. They have to have 5,000 followers and have to be 18 years old. And anyone can tag your brand and post about it and get the sales from it. So those are the two options that you have if you're setting this up. And on the open plan, you can put some or all of your products into the TikTok Shop affiliate network. The products become available for all creators to select in the product marketplace, and they can create content and do all of that as well. And then the commission is deducted from each sale and paid to the creators automatically. So it is pretty nice that they're handling that whole process as well. It very much reminds me of the Amazon affiliate, very clean, streamlined. They have done a good job with that. And TikTok recommends that brands start with open, and then you can switch to target if you already have some that you love. I personally also think you should start with open because you're going to get the most hooks in the water. But you also need to make sure this makes sense for your brand and it's sustainable. Because if a video does hit and go viral, you are going to be paying out a lot of commissions, which should be a win-win if you set up your commissions correctly. And then on that targeted plan, you can define custom amounts for creators and get a lot more niche targeting from that perspective. So just not as broad. It doesn't incentivize everyone to really tag you. And then requirements to be a TikTok creator: you have to have 5,000 followers, must be 18 plus, potential in-app competition between brands, re-affiliate. So this is where also now creators are going to look and say, well, if brand A is paying out 5% and brand B is 1%, they might pick one over the other. And, just something to keep in mind. And then make sure you're cautious about your overall business. You don't want to be paying out too much. And then affiliate payments alone aren't worth it to most creators. This is a question I get often now that they've launched this. They're like, well, do I not need to pay a creator for a collab now that they can get affiliate? It's every situation's different, but at the end of the day, the creator needs to feel valued for whatever they're doing in exchange for what they're being given, right? And sometimes these affiliate programs can only pay out like 50 cents a sale, and that's just not going to be enough. Also, we know that TikTok is a numbers game. Some hit, some don't. So if creators are creating the super valuable content that you're using in a bunch of channels, they're probably not going to also just do it, for free, right? So I think you have to really just balance. And it's really a free market approach and figuring out where your sweet spot is with what you're asking the creators and what you're giving them as well. But just know that it doesn't just fix everything right away just to have affiliate. And then, yes, occasionally content will go viral. There's actually been a few already. So this is an example of one TikToker claims to have earned $13,000 in affiliate commission, and $5,000 for one hairbrush review featuring one of the shop products. So pretty cool. This does excite me a lot because I love the concept that the creators are going to be rewarded for the sales and the exposure that they're bringing brands. And I feel like it's a really win-win if done correctly. But that product has gone to sell over 285,000 units. So pretty crazy, right? So even though it was a small commission on each one, ended up paying off a lot because it hit. And then the last section of the ad section is paid presence with Spark ads. So Spark ads are TikTok's promotions that transform creator organic posts into video ads. So we talked about typical ads. Now there's Spark ads. So Spark ads, what's crazy about them and what I keep trying to tell most brands, and I notice a lot of the brands that are really sophisticated, they already know this and they're doing it a ton, is that Spark ads outperform non-creator ads when it comes to engagement and conversions. CPG brands running Spark ads saw a 96% higher paid media ROAS, so return on ad spend, versus other channels. And then it gives you that opportunity to drive sales from your existing influencer content and UGC. So let's say you run a campaign, get 50 creators posting, pick your favorite ones and spark them, and really make the most ROI out of it. So you see which ones take off, and then you pick your favorite ones to spark. So that's what we're seeing a lot of our brands doing, is casting that wide net. This is great because it incentivizes creators to be like, okay, I want to create the best content, so I get picked to be sparked. Then you pay them a little extra, spark the content, and it gets boosted. So super cool. And then just to look at the two different side to side, it's very small difference between a typical in-feed ad. So that's just the normal upload any video, you can trim it, you can edit it, run it in the feed. You can see it has the brand there. Try Arma, I think is how you say it. And then the Spark ad instead has the creator's name. So you can see like Lex is there instead of the brand name. So this small tweak is causing much or really great returns for brands. And actually, studies show that it's a 83% higher engagement rate versus non-creator ads. So really using creators in content and doing it with Spark is one of the best ways to really increase your return on ad spend and increase your ROI of working with creators and influencers as well. So awesome. And then in terms of Spark ads versus non-Spark ads, so the completion rate with Spark ads is 30% greater than non Spark ads. Engagement rate is 142% greater, and the CVR is 43% greater. So TikTok ads featuring creator partnerships saw a staggering 83% higher engagement rate, like I said on the last slide. And then creators ads see biggest boost in brand recall in the beauty, CPG, and fashion industries. So TikTok did a study of like which ones had the biggest lift when using creator ads, and it was beauty, CPG, and fashion, which I think makes sense from that perspective. And then, like I said, we do allow brands to really easily get TikTok Spark ad codes through our platform. So we actually just had that feature roll out last month, which we've been really excited about. So where we integrate directly with TikTok and do that. So I think that's the little button that Sam popped up here if you're interested in learning more of how we can help. But TikTok Spark ad best practices. So early impact. So opening that video with a hook is crucial, which is crucial, honestly, with every TikTok. Creators know this because they also are incentivized. They want to get the most views possible too. And some of the best ad hooks tend to be like seeing if this lives up to the hype, testing this. I was honestly surprised how a lot of those tend to work very well in terms of TikTok Spark ads. And then in terms of a few more stats I wanted to share, so Spark ads have less than 15 seconds drive 38% higher sales lift than longer ads. And then even with longer form ads, the first few seconds are make or break. So most of the time, the interaction within those first 5 seconds is like what makes or break a video. But at the end of the day, more hooks in the water. You got to test a ton of content. We've talked with a bunch of our brands, like they're just cranking out and just testing all sorts of different ads, and then you really see which one bubbles to the top and then really put more spend into that one. And then TikTok trends are crucial to Spark ads too. So if you're gonna run an ad or a Spark ad and they're following a TikTok trend, it just feels so natural, and I think that's why they perform so well. But you do have to make sure all of it is royalty-free music, that there's royalty-free, memes, filters, formats. Things move fast on TikTok, so really trying to refresh your ads constantly is important, right? Because they'll get stale if you're showing like an old trend now. So working with creators is a great way to get that rolling. And then just when in doubt, test more ads. So here's some recommendations from TikTok. So TikTok recommends 3 to 5 creatives per ad group for Spark ads. So putting a few of those together, seeing the winner, really going all in on that. The more you test, the faster you can optimize, and then take advantage of TikTok's hyper targeted algorithm, which requires refining the content as well. And then lastly on this section is SEO and TikTok ads. So in the TikTok Creative Center, they actually have a creative assistant that uses generative AI to help brands craft ads that align with social media search optimization. So like I said, they're leaning in hard to SEO, even on the ad side. So you'll notice this is a direct screenshot that actually one of our team members put from the creative center. So you can see it says this script is not optimized for SEO. So it actually will tell you like you need to make this more optimized for SEO so that you can come up in the searches better from an ads perspective. So we are, like I said, keeping a pulse on this. I'm excited to see what other tools they roll out, but this is also part of even the ad section is making sure you are optimizing your ads so they can come up in the search too, which is super cool. And the last section is how to drive sales with TikTok creators. And the reason I put this one last is because it really impacts all the ones above it, because you can really use creators across the 3 categories we already talked about as well. So first, the top way to impact social search is using creators, because if you're trying to get getting ranking on social search and you're just going to be posting as the brand, what's going to happen is you'd have to be creating, hundreds of videos, right, to get enough hooks in the water, thousands of videos, and that doesn't make sense on one account. So instead, working with lots of creators so that you can start tracking that and getting that ranking. Creators also make paid ads perform better, like we talked about. We had the 80% higher, engagement than non-creator ads. And then creators drive more sales through TikTok affiliate. So you can actually connect them to that as well. So the incentives are aligned. And then you can repost creator content on your own feed if you, of course, have the rights to it and have worked that out with the creators to actually boost your own organic reach. So they can help you with all the categories: organic, search, paid. You can really maximize the ROI of working with a creator by using them across all three of those channels, which is what I recommend. So first, creator content earns more reach and engagement by default. So there have been a bunch of studies where they'll post the same video, a brand will and a creator will. The creator video performs significantly better. Here's one with insomnia cookies where you can see that. Not surprising, I think, to anyone, but a good thing to remember is that it just feels more authentic and they have that relationship and it feels more personal, even though it is the same piece of content, right? And then I think just less time and effort building your own social presence if you can work with creators. And then, yes, you can repost them and it helps you grow. But if your ultimate goal is brand awareness and engagements, then working with creators is the way to go. Creators are already familiar with the latest trends. So I think this is also one of the biggest benefits of working with creators. The trends change constantly. You essentially need, and bigger brands have this, a full-time person who's sitting on TikTok just watching the trends and coming up with ideas. And the TikTokers love this. Creators on TikTok, that's what they do. They just sit there coming up with ideas and cool and creativity. That's why they're called creators, right? So they have a pulse on that. So working with them is a way to, capitalize on that, and also ends up being work you don't have to do. So when you're thinking about the ROI of working with creators, just think of all that time you just saved of also having to come up with the trends and actually shoot the content and all of those pieces too, when you're thinking about the investment you're making as well. And then creators boost the visibility of your branded hashtags. So much like when you're on Google and you hope only positive results pop up, it applies the same logic to TikTok and Instagram. So when people search your branded hashtag, what do they see? Is there nothing there? It's I always search reviews. And if there's no one reviewing a product, I've actually not bought a product before because I just want to see at least one real person reviewing it that's not the brand, just to make me feel better. And I actually have not bought products because of that. And so creators posting under your hashtag really help with that brand awareness and that snowball effect. And then creators are trusted more than brands. So 92% of consumers trust micro influencers more than traditional ads or celebrity endorsements. Makes sense. And TikTok is all about the creators and the little guy. Through comments and interactions, creators can elaborate on why your product is awesome. So you get that third party vote of confidence. And then these interactions are really like candy to the social algorithm in general, too. And then creators make it easier to increase your publishing frequency. Social algorithms value and prioritize accounts that publish consistently, and we all know that that's challenging. So being able to work in one creator post a week or more allows you to really increase that volume and mix in with your own content too, and keep that keep your account active, which we all know we all have a lot on our plate, and that can take a lot of bandwidth. And then lastly, stop stressing over follower count. We've shown you all the stats already, but smaller creators with less than 5,000 actually earn the most engagement on TikTok. And the algorithm drives viewerships instead of your followers. So really, when we're looking at a creator and if they're going to be accepted to our network, we don't even care about follower count. We're looking purely at their engagement rate and their content. So our recommendation count we believe recommendation count outweighs follower count, and the data shows that. So 100 posts from a smaller creator versus one big celebrity post, especially in the world of TikTok, is going to have a lot more impact. And then lastly, I'll go through this section quickly of just some examples of brands driving sales with TikTok, because I always think that examples are the best way to learn. And then I'll hopefully have a few minutes for questions as well. So Love and Pebble, they sparked TikTok shop posts from creators. So they have the TikTok shop, and then they're using Spark ads. Like I said, they're working with creators. They really combined everything. And they reported a 3.2 times return on ad spend, and an over 1,000% increase in sales with Spark ads campaigns. So super cool to see it in the wild. 240 conversions and over 250,000 impressions by combining these tactics together. Another one is Kiala Nutrition. So they established a smaller organic community and used TikTok ads to boost reach. They earned 75 million impressions and 10,000 conversions with creator-based Spark ads. And they partnered with creators with specific demographic and relatable trendy content as well. 43% decrease in CPA, which is huge. And then Viore, this is a really cool one that we got to see firsthand from a social SEO perspective, starting to rank and own some different keywords and really create that snowball effect as well, which has just been super cool to see brands really leaning into the social SEO piece and how they can think about this like not just as a channel, but as a search engine. So the takeaways overall is consistency is key to visibility and reach. Creativity and community are greater than followers. Creativity and volume equals successful organic campaigns. And then I always like the TikTok. They say this all the time, but make TikToks not ads. It should not feel like an ad when you're watching any sort of ad that you're posting on TikTok or a post. It should feel like the actual platform and all the other content on it. So with that, I'll open up to some questions. We do, like I said, we do these webinars. Sorry, I'm talking so fast. I know we we only have 5 minutes left, but we do these webinars monthly. Our next one, we are going to be diving into doing a masterclass of TikTok for brands. So we've gotten a lot of questions about this, diving into sounds, ads, and creators as well, making more of on the tactical side too, and diving deeper on those categories. So you can scan the QR code. We'll also send you the invite. And then as always, if you do want a demo with Statosphere, we'd love to see if we could partner with you. So we can help you in terms of scaling your micro influencer efforts, help you with seeding as well, too, and then also with those Spark ads as well. So with that, I have looks like about 4 minutes. So I'll jump over. And Sam, if you want to drop in any of the questions that you had as well, or that you saw pop up too, we can go through them. I see one. Do you feel like hashtags are still playing a huge part in that search? Or is SEO being pushed mainly by captions alone? Thanks for that question, Maggie. I think it is a combination. I think that it's looking at both. My assumption from what I feel and have seen would be about equally. I do think you should not keyword stuff or hashtag stuff. And I think you should be thoughtful about your hashtags. Like I wouldn't just do hashtag makeup. I'd probably make it a longer tail hashtag. The benefit of hashtags versus words is that like it takes up less space in your caption, and you can put a few key phrases in there. So I would just say use them strategically, but I think that they're about equal from what we're seeing of what TikTok is been recommending. What other questions as well? Do you recommend a brand has a creator account and a business account? Do you think that will make a difference in exposure, SEO, etc.? So I think if I put my TikTok terms of service hat on, I would say if you're a business, you should have a business account. I do think that is their terms of service. So I think that it should be a business account. I have heard brands kind of, especially smaller ones, will sometimes do creator accounts, but I believe to follow TikTok's terms of service, you should have a business account. And then the way to get that exposure from a creator account is really by working with creators regularly. True creators that have creator accounts, I would say. So I don't want to give anything against TikTok's terms of service. I have heard brands do that, but I do want to make sure I'm not getting anyone in trouble. So that's my recommendation from that perspective. Any other questions that popped up that you saw, Sam? For the Amazon plugins for TikTok, are there still seller fees? I believe so, because if it is going through that channel, there would still be fees. I don't for the Amazon plugin. So I'm assuming, Maggie, you have maybe a Shopify business. If you have a Shopify business, you can connect Amazon as a channel, and you can also connect TikTok as a channel. But I do know that TikTok will I'm confident they're not going to facilitate sales on the platform without having some sort of fee. I'm not sure if it's different if it goes through Amazon, but I was told it's kind of a different channel going into your Shopify as well. Awesome. Great. Well, it was great being able to give this information to all of you today. We'll be following up with the recording. Would love to see you at more of our webinars in the future. And as always, if there's any topics you would like us to cover, just respond to the email that I send you. It'll probably be later today or early tomorrow with the recording with any topics or questions you have. And then if you would like a demo, feel free to reach out to our team. We'd love to chat with you and see if we can help. So great. Have a great rest of your week.